Well, ousted Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse is heading to court to get the mayoral chain back. She says the ANC unlawfully removed her to loot the city's coffers. That's what she says. Phalatse says she's not going to allow the ANC to do that at all. Let's get some reaction, though, from the ANC. I'm joined by the ANC Greater Joburg Region spokesperson, Mr. Vondo, joining us this morning. Chris, good morning to you. I appreciate your time. So the former mayor says the ANC simply wants to loot Johannesburg. Good morning. What's your reaction to what Mpho Phalatse has had to say?
Good morning, and good morning to you and to your viewers at home. We have noted Dr. Mpho Phalatse's application and her public rants. We think we're not going to dignify those because I think she must know better that the council that was conducted was lawful, and that council was conducted or sanctioned within the confines of the rules of council and the standing rules. And obviously, from where we're seated, the sooner she accepts the democratic outcome, the better. In fact, we're of the view that whatever that she's trying to do, she's not the one that is busy pushing this. I mean, the writing has been on the wall for some time that the DA coalition in Johannesburg has collapsed because of how they have mismanaged the city themselves. So clearly this looting that she's talking about has nothing to do with labeling the ANC. I think we must put it on record that we're calling on her to retract and apologize for calling the ANC corrupt. And we're doing that. We want her to retract that statement and publicly apologize to the ANC within 48 hours. If she does not do so within 48 hours, because clearly she cannot even prove what she's talking about. She's been a mayor for 10 months. She's been talking about corruption. There's nothing in her record, including her report, that shows that indeed there is corruption that she's talking about. We have exposed as the African National Congress how they have mismanaged the finances of the city. As we speak now, City Power is on the red for 8 billion of the overdraft of the City Power. You go to Joshco, 1.1 billion. What type of leadership is that? Does she care about the citizens of Joburg when she could not even manage the finances of the city? We're talking about an eminent city of the world here. We're talking about Joburg city, an economic hub of the continent, the 7th largest economy in the continent, not just a city that is respected internationally, a city that at some stage was able to occupy international space, a city that was able to turn around Johannesburg. So there's no thought leadership there. She had no idea of how to govern. In fact, contrary to what the DA is saying and Dr. Mpho Phalatse, we have in authority that on the 28th of September, before the council meeting, a day before the council meeting, there was a message that came from Cape Town. I'm sure you know when I refer to Cape Town, who I'm referring to. That came from Cape Town that says, a heads up, Colin Makubele is calling a programming meeting this afternoon, wanting a council meeting for tomorrow to continue with motions of no confidence against all remaining DA and Freedom Front Plus. That was the first message. The second message says, I have received a call from Mike Moriarty indicating that the game plan is to kill the quorum of programming this afternoon. So it's up to the citizens to see what this public rant that the DA, including Dr. Phalatse, are saying. The people who intentionally
for a second, Chris, because we're getting into the tenure of Mpho Phalatse, which we can talk about. I just want you to finish that thought at the beginning of our conversation. You said you're giving the former mayor 48 hours to retract these comments, or what? I don't feel you finished your thought. What were you suggesting? 48 hours to retract, or what happens?
Yeah, we are retracting because it borders on defamation of a character. The ANC, she cannot even prove. She has not proven. We are the ones who have exposed her. We are saying she must retract within 48 hours, failure, which we can then take our time and approach the law enforcement agencies to ensure that we register our case insofar as the defamation of a character is concerned.
Let's talk a little bit, if we can, because I do feel that residents, and while the politics of this, Chris, I'm sure you'll agree, is very important when it comes to coalition governments, how much work is actually being done by Joburg Council right now? Between the infighting, the changes of mayorship, the changes of chairpersons and chairs of chairs, how much work is actually being done?
The African National Congress has directed its caucus that the business of council must continue, and not because there is no leadership in the city now. Surely the service delivery has been stalled. Contrary to the Golden Start report, there's been no work that was done even when the DA coalition was leading over the 10 years. In fact, the 10 months, the Golden Start report is just a farce. It's a Golden Start report of papers. It's a Golden Start report of terms of references. It's a Golden Start of relaunching of RCBT, things that were there a long time ago. So if you look at the IDP, that is a covenant between the city and the citizens of Joburg. That IDP was not people's driven process. So there is nothing that was done by this Golden Start administration as it was said. So from where we're seated, we think the first thing that has to be done is to ensure that we sort out the finances of the city. The financial sustainability of the city is very important. We must go and salvage the 8 billion overdraft at City Power, the 1.1 billion overdraft at Joshco, sort out all the maladministration issues. Some of the MMCs under her watch, Dr. Phalatse herself, are implicated on corruption. There's a case on the public protector that they are supposed to answer. One of the MMCs was found when there's a finding against that MMC because that MMC did not have the requisite qualifications at the time. He was a chief of police and he was rewarded as MMC of police at this point in time. Some of the MMCs who are in departments were interfering with the procurement processes, which is in a violation of the Municipal Finance Management Act. So we think that the citizens of Joburg, with this coalition outcome, by the way, Gareth, the residents have voted for coalition in 2021. There is no outright winner here. The ANC has 36.5% in council. DA has 26.1%. So this public rant of saying the residents have voted for the DA is not true. It can never be true. It's not scientific. You only have 71 seats. As Democratic Alliance, the ANC has 91 seats in that council. It has 86 wards.
Would you work with the DA again, Chris? Would the ANC work with the Democratic Alliance in this coalition? Last brief answer from you, if you can. I need to say goodbye. Would you work with the DA again? And if so, what would it take to work with the DA in this coalition?
All the ANC administrations since the developmental local government from 2000 have worked with all the parties in council and treated them with respect, irrespective of their ideological stance, whether they are opposition or what. They have consulted, including the coalition government of the 2019 with our former mayors who were there, who are late now, have been consulting with DA on budget because they are a very important organization or a democratic representation of those that were elected as well. They have constituencies, they have wards that they are running in Johannesburg. There's no point about that question. We don't think that question arises. The ANC and all its coalition partners will work with all the parties in council.
Well, I appreciate your time in joining us this morning. Chris Vondo, ANC Greater Johannesburg Region spokesperson.